So welcome back to the tour part of this video, meeting Mark and Donna. And Mark, this is your nice GMC motorhome.
Yes, it is. Yeah, 1975 GMC Motorhome. I built this type of rig for 4 years, back in obviously the 70s. And according to the records, there was about 12,600 of them built originally, and the estimate now is that there's about 8,500 of them still on the road. And as a result, there's a lot of dedicated enthusiasts. There's still a parts supply warehouse, if you will, for them. So a lot of people have gone to great lengths and a lot of trouble to be able to keep these things on the road. The reason that there is so many of them still on the road in relation to their original production figures is the fact that they're primarily aluminum, obviously steel chassis, aluminum body, fiberglass nose and tail cap, and so there's very little to be affected by moisture, if you will. So there's, other than the wood that's inside, there's no superstructure that to rot out or that type of thing. Obviously there can be moisture damage, but for the most part, the reason they're still on the road is because they handle the weather quite well. Also built Tornado front wheel drive setup, which is a 455, so it has the power to move it. Obviously it's not the most efficient engine ever designed, so it does, it gets a little expensive to run. But you keep them tuned up and keep them adjusted, and it runs down the highway fine. So it's really been a good rig for us.
And so to save on the cost of fuel, you tow a Ford Ranger. I
tow a little Ford Ranger. That actually has its own little story, but we bought it here in Quartzsite 2 years ago. And one of the things that we did when we decided what our next step was going to be, and one of the things I'm going to just throw in here real quick, and I've a friend of mine's considering doing this, and he's put a lot of, stress into deciding what type of RV that he's going to have. And one of the things that I've noticed in this lifestyle is the first RV you start out with is probably not going to be the one you end up with. And there's always a stepping stone. You'd ask anybody out here, they've started with one vehicle, they've probably ended up with 2 or 3 since then, and so they're never in the first vehicle they started with. So, and neither are we. So we put a lot of thought into this after we'd been out for about a year. Decided that the GMC would be an ideal rig for us. Because of that, and knowing that we were going to want to do a lot of work to it, we were going to want to modify the interior, we were going to probably have to put a lot of maintenance into it because, well, they're 40 years old. We decided we needed a little truck. It had to be small enough to be towed. At the same time, it had to be rugged enough to be usable. 4-wheel drive was a real plus because we do like to drive around the desert, go exploring, occasional mountainsides. A lot of mountains around here that get some mines and stuff that are fun to see. So that was important. It had to be set up, well, not necessarily set up, but we had to be able to set it up for towing, which is very critical. So a manual transfer case was very important. And anyway, we put all that together, and my brother-in-law actually called me one day and he says, I found this little Ranger that I think is exactly what you're looking for. Went and looked at it, and sure enough, it had been ordered from the factory originally to be a towed. So not only did it have the locking hubs and the manual transfer case, it had the engine that I wanted, and it even came with a tow bar. The wiring was all set up. All I had to do was plug it into the back of the coach and everything. And so it was like, okay, well, we found the perfect rig. So anyway.
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah, and the miles that were on it were, it seemed to have a lot of miles, but it drives like it has considerably less, and that's because it's been towed most of its life. And so most of the miles, unfortunately, it racks up when you tow. So, but we found a canopy for it, got a good deal on that. I built the drawers for the back so that we could keep some of our supplies stored.
Speaking of that, let's take a look.
All right, sure. Yeah, these are the drawers that I built. There's a platform here. It comes right to the top of the wheel wells. And the idea here is that I knew I was going to put a canopy on it, so I wasn't too worried about the fact that I didn't have much bed space left. So, and then to make sure it handled the weather okay, this is signboard or MDO, which is obviously they use it for sign, so it has to be able to withstand the weather, and so you don't get any of the delamination or anything like that on it. And very simple drawer. I just once a year, I guess, I put more wax on the bottom of it so it'll slide. And
so it's not on slides, it's just its own weight?
Yeah, it's just plywood on plywood.
Wow.
And with wax on the bottom.
Wow. Yeah, it looks like it was hardly any effort at all.
Yeah, it works pretty smoothly. And same with this one. This is most of where the stuff that we use for camping, if you will.
Your outdoor stuff?
Outdoor stuff. Our canopy frame, the walls, lights, nails and straps and guy lines for things, propane, and so on. So I kind of keep it categorized. This is more for the vehicles, this is more for camping, that kind of thing.
This stuff you really want to have, but you don't need very often.
Don't need it all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, so.
Very good use of storage.
That way I can ladder, spare water, a couple of cans of gasoline. We throw our chairs in there and stuff when we move, that kind of thing.
Mm-hmm.
So, very handy, very practical.
Very good use of space, yeah. So let's take a look inside.
All right.
And I see you have solar. How much solar do you have?
280 watts of solar. It's run through a combination inverter charger that feeds, charges the two 6-volt AGM batteries in the back, and got a little generator that we only use when we need it, kind of save it for the important or the bad weather, I guess, the best way to say it. And then works out real well. We have some electrical stuff that we wouldn't have had if we didn't have the solar. And for instance, the refrigerator, typical RV refrigerator is not real big. There's not a lot of cubic feet of storage in there. And we like fresh vegetables. So we picked up a little 12-volt cooler. And it's not a fancy refrigerator, freezer thing. It's just a cooler. It doesn't even have a thermostat on it. You just plug it in and it works, and you unplug it and then it's off. And but because of the solar, we can run it when the sun's out, and it's usually pretty cold by the time sun goes down, so we just unplug it and plug it back in the next morning. And so as a result, very little draw on the batteries with that.
Well, it's really spacious in here. It really feels big.
We made a lot of modifications. This was a dinette originally, but it had the steel framed seats that folded into a bed, and there was very little storage underneath them. They were very hard to access, and we weren't going to sleep there, so we thought, we'll just make it. And so as a result, I was able to go a little bit lighter, increase the storage space considerably. It's my utility storage down here, and where I keep some of the tools and oil and stuff and that sort of thing.
That is really a good setup. Easy to access.
And it's really easy to access from outside as well.
Yeah, you can just reach up from while you're standing outside.
Exactly. So, and then on this one, there's two parts to the storage on this one. One, this is a drawer, and this is kind of our pantry. And then behind it, there's a access door that you probably can't really see, but that's for the very, very seldom used stuff, like tire chains and that sort of thing. So that's not original. This is our probably, I should say, Donna's workbench. This is where she does a lot of her jewelry making. She has the little jeweler's vise here, little vise here that's movable and stuff. This is a magnifier lamp, and she does a lot of the jewelry and stuff. She makes the little dolls. She does artwork like so. It's hand drawn. She did that.
Very, very nice.
Yep. And so this is what keeps her happy while we're on the road.
Creativity.
Yep. She's able to create, express herself. She sees something she likes. She can come here and maybe duplicate it or something similar. She likes that kind of stuff. She made these curtains. At first, they had a divider curtain there, but this is actual tapestry. And
that looks heavy.
It is. And the reason being is that it does a very good job of insulating the cab area from the back. Makes it easier to heat. Kind of works as a closet for us at the same time while we're parked.
Mm-hmm.
And so that way we don't have to clean it completely.
Yeah.
But there's
Could be a little bit of clutter up
yeah,
there.
but there's the cooler, And so it's a Coleman, and it's just 12 volt. Got some fresh veggies in there, and we just like I say, we plug it in in the morning. Solar keeps it running all night or all day, and then unplug it at night. The countertops.
I'm really impressed with the countertops.
Yeah, this used to be a couch, by the way. There was a couch here, and it folded out and made a bunk bed, hung from here, and I don't know who would sleep up there. I don't even think I could convince a kid to sleep up there, but it wasn't all that comfortable, and the couch wasn't comfortable, and we said, again, we're not planning on having parties in here, so we picked these up at a like a Habitat for Humanity store, just a kind of salvage store, for like $20. The countertop is actually made from old fence boards.
Oh, yeah.
This is a
Hold it over here so out of the light.
okay. What it is probably about an 80-year-old fence, and I believe it's oak. But and these patterns, these are stencils that Donna was playing with. But it's a fence contractor who does a lot of the salvage wood from old barns and fences and stuff. He had put up a new fence for a guy back in Minnesota or someplace, tore down this one, ran it through a planer, ran it through his machine to put the tongue and groove on it, and then sold it as flooring. And these are pieces that were left over from a friend of mine's floor, basically. He had a 5,000 square foot house, and he put this flooring on the first floor, and this is some of what was left over, and he gave it to us, and we were able to make a counter out of it. So
I really like all the light in here, the windows. Huge amount of windows.
another feature that's unique to the GMC that keeps them from looking dated as well. This is one of the first ones that used large windows with radius corners. So most of the RVs of this era did not do that.
Right.
And so as a result, you get the light and the spaciousness.
And they found that the radius corners gave them a lot of structural strength.
A lot of structural strength, modernized the look.
Right.
And which, I don't know, you've probably seen different movies with these vehicles featured in them. I think, I can't remember the exact name, but Sandra Bullock in that movie where they chased tornadoes or something. I think there was like 3 or 4 of them in that. The movie Stripes featured one of these, or I think one of the, a couple other movies. And so they were using a lot of movies because of the fact that
they're distinctive.
They're distinctive, and they don't really go out of date, I guess.
Yeah.
They got a style to them that seems almost timeless.
Yeah.
Now, we did do some modifications to the plumbing. This is just a,
people
just
are
a-
going to be able to see the countertop here
Right.
because of the light. They couldn't really see it
Okay.
over there.
But this is just it's a bathroom sink. We use a little plastic tub for most of our washing. That way it doesn't fill our tanks, forcing us to move before we're ready. So very little water goes into our tanks.
So you just dump that outside.
We just dump it outside. It's just gray water and stuff like that.
right.
Original stove, 3-burner, the Magic Chef with an oven. We use the oven. We use the stove daily. So I like that.
And how about this dark wood here? Is that?
Oh, this is original, actually.
That is original.
This is original.
That's very nice.
Yeah. And have to be careful. We do kind of cram these things so that you got to be careful. You unload it or you open it up and something might jump at you.
Right.
So that's that. And this cupboard's mostly taken up with vent and lighting, so there's very little storage space up there. But,
Right.
so that's where that stuff is. Silverware and utility stuff for cooking down here. The fridge is I'm really, really pleased with. This is, like I say, this was the previous owner had put this in, and it's gas, 12 volt, 110 volt, and switches back and forth automatically depending upon, that's a priority obviously. 110 is the first priority, gas the second priority, and then the 12 volt battery is the third. So.
And your spice cabinet there really
Yeah.
really impresses me.
Yeah. This is
Never
probably,
seen anything like that.
Yep. This is probably one of the favorite features that people always like or are impressed with when they come in here.
Now you did that. That isn't factory.
Yeah, Donna did that.
Donna did that.
Donna did that. Yeah. So, yeah, I would love to take credit for something like that, but she's the creative one.
That's ingenious.
It is. Yeah.
Really is.
I'm the mechanical guy. She's the artist.
Well, how wonderful to have that combination.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. Like the magazine pockets on the bed. I don't know if you can see that very well, but I don't know if the additional light would help or not. But
Not bad. Yeah.
and
Is that
this-
sewn onto the blanket?
no? It's
No?
actually just attached to the bed frame itself,
Okay.
and then that flips up and there's storage underneath. And,
Oh, so that's a door under there.
yeah. There's storage under there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. This used to have side-facing lounge chairs or seating very similar to the dinette, almost identical to the dinette, actually. And which was very uncomfortable to sleep on. So it didn't take long at all to convert that to just a permanent bed. And
And this must be your bathroom back here.
this is the bathroom here, shower, closet, with a full-length mirror, drawers, inverter and stuff in there.
Is that something you built in, or that
This is factory.
that's all factory?
Yeah,
Good use of space.
yeah. And now something I did add is the component shelf back here. If you want to go back there and look at our TV and satellite setup.
Right. You have dish satellite.
Dish satellite. So that component shelf underneath,
Uh-huh.
I added that, and seems to blend in fairly well.
So you come back here and lay down and watch TV.
Correct.
And nice, good sized bathroom, bedroom. Nice bed.
Yeah, it's full size, so we're not talking queen or king or anything, but perfectly adequate for the two of us.
And can we peek in your bathroom?
I don't know. Let me look.
Okay.
Yeah, I suppose.
So it's a wet bath, is that correct?
It is a wet bath, yes.
So you just you take the shower with everything out and around.
Right, and it has a curtain that you can pull to make sure that the water doesn't leave there around the door and stuff.
And do you shower in here?
Yes.
So you use both tanks, black and gray.
Well, there's a story to that too. In order to make sure that our tanks don't force us to leave our camp prematurely, we don't use the black water at all. We use auxiliary containers, and
Is that a nice way to say 5-gallon bucket?
yes. Yeah. I don't know how much detail you're interested in.
No, that's good enough.
But we do not contaminate our black water tank. Let's put it that way. And the gray water, most of it ends up just being dumped from here. Shower water, that does go into the tank, but we can take, 3-4 showers before the tank is full, and we have to concern ourselves with emptying it. So it works out pretty well.
So you're pretty free from tanks and dumping.
Pretty
reasonably.
much. We were camped for 4 weeks on the other side of Quartzsite, and managed just fine before we had to come out and dump, refill. Now I will refill with water periodically. It's a relatively small water tank, so we'll take advantage of the water dispensers out there in the community by when we're out with the truck.
Right.
I'll fill up that 5-gallon jug, dump it in the tank, and so that gives us the hot water if we need to shower and stuff like that.
So every time you go into town, you get an extra 5 gallons.
Get another 5 gallons, and we use again, to keep from using the water in the tank. We will also just use auxiliary water jugs.
Right, sure.
And that's for our coffee and occasional cooking recipes and things like that.
And probably like a lot of us, you separate filtered water to drink and cook.
Correct.
And cheap water, city water for
Showers
and cleaning.
and washing dishes and that kind of thing.
Most of the desert water is not very good, pleasant.
No. So that's our... I guess here's a little goodie too, that this is an original feature of the GMCs, but
That is nice.
but typically that's a vacuum system, in-house vacuum.
Oh,
Yeah, because these are usually carpeted, which of course we pulled that out right away. Who wants to live in 40-year-old carpet?
right.
And so, but that's the so we converted that to a pantry, and that's
Very,
handy.
very nice.
Very handy.
Very handy, yeah.
So,
Well, Mark, thank you so much. What a wonderful home you've created for yourselves here.
thanks. Yeah, we really enjoy it.
Just love to be in it, and if you're forced in by bad weather, you're not unhappy at all.
No. As a matter of fact, we have quite a view.
Quite a view.
We can be sitting here, and as you can see, we've got quite a panorama.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's nice. We really enjoy it. Is there some headaches with a 40-year-old vehicle? Sure, but as far as other than a brand new Sprinter or something, which I don't feel would offer us near as much personal satisfaction, there's really not much else out there that we can get this much livability from.
Your bang for your buck is pretty astounding.
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
That's the whole crux of the whole thing right there.
Right.
So
Pleasant livable space per dollar you can afford to spend.
exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
Well, Mark, thank you so much for sharing your life, you and Donna, and I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're more than welcome.
And we'll talk to you later.
All right, sounds good. Thanks, Mark.
And for you folks at home, I hope you enjoyed this, and be sure and like us on YouTube and subscribe to our channel and share us with your friends through social media. And we'll talk to you later.